Hi everybody. So I'm going to be talking about lightning and just a couple things, like the reason why I chose lightning was because it's such a cool thing to happen in nature. It's something that we have so much information on and studies of, yet we still don't fully understand what exactly we're looking at. And I think that's pretty interesting and intriguing. So what is lightning? Lightning is a visible emission of heat that we see in the sky. It's static electricity, and it is formed in clouds as a result of a positive and negative molecule attracting towards one another or colliding. Uh, if you think of clouds like batteries with a positive and a negative end, these are kind of the basic building blocks or principles with which lightning is formed. uh, Here in this diagram we have what's called a stepped leader, and it's a very faint, almost invisible streak that's kind of the initial start to the formation of a lightning stroke. And what's happening is positive charges from the ground are trying to meet with negative charges at the base of the cloud, and when those two charges collide, they form what's called a return stroke, which is the bright luminous streak in the sky that we see. The color of lightning is determined by temperature. So what I have here is a rendition of a Kelvin color spectrum. Excuse me. And these are the visible colors in nature that we see. So sunlight, the different degrees of a flame, like a candle, the luminosity of a light bulb. These colors represent temperatures, and this is what we see when we see lightning. So blue lightning is plausible, and so is yellow and different degrees of red. So this is the most accurate illustration I found in my research, or one of the most accurate illustrations. I won't say it's the most accurate because there are problems with it, but I was looking through some concept artists, and this one felt to be the most grounded in terms of the depiction of it and pattern. The pattern and the jaggedness is really selling. It has that authenticity. The two things that bug me are the luminosity. The brightness of it is just, it seems to be more for dramatic effect, and then these closed off shapes. This is a repeating error in many people's work. They like to close off the lightning streaks, and I'm not really sure why, but this doesn't occur in nature. What you do see is overlap. Right here, if you look at the photograph of this lightning streaks, you'll see that they branch out. They don't reconnect, but they fade away into these smaller, fainter, residual lightning strikes. If you notice too, lightning flows like a tree branch, and it also flows like water. It takes the path of least resistance. So as it's forming in the sky, it's literally flowing through the various particles and molecules within the air, because the air is no different than the ocean. So this is another illustration I found, and aside from the actual shapes being kind of very simplified and losing the overall look of lightning, people can quickly tell it's lightning or electricity or some sort of depiction of it because of the colors and the patterns, but they're really kind of losing it because they're giving it this kind of a curvy linear feel. They have a lot of these closed off shapes, which makes it look more like a web to me, and the overall pattern is just something that has obviously been made up and not observed closely. Same thing with this. They have more of a jagged edge, but everything is, if you squint and just look at it without even squinting, is kind of the same value and intensity. And there's actually a couple of changes, very subtle changes in value and luminosity within lightning streaks. So this would not happen either. And then there's just more of those closed off shapes. So lightning, will most likely be your light source in your piece. and if not the brightest, one of the brightest things in your piece. And think of it like that. Think of it as a light source, no different than the sun. It's gonna have, reflected light. It's gonna have a certain luminosity to it. Lightning itself may not get as bright as the sun or the moon even, but it will illuminate some things. So referring back to the first illustration of that kind of a landscape looking environment, that luminosity and glow is probably a little too strong and more for dramatic effect, like I said. If you look at here, you have the flow that we were talking about, the feel of a branch, and that specific pattern. And again, these lightning streaks are overlapping and existing on their own. They aren't closing off. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was interesting and you learned something, and thanks for watching.